position now. About your master classes in the French pastry school and the French chef you maybe work with or that kind of stuff. Your Mediterranean influence, Italy, French, all that kind of where does it comes from? Either an Indian school of cooking or chef in the making in India, sorry. How you become the best chef in India? How is competition on the food scene in Delhi or in other cities that count in the whole India? We were just in Delhi for a couple of days. I went in Mumbai or in Kerala maybe, or I don't know where. You tell me there also food scene, a lively food scene. Maybe not, maybe you tell me. And why? That would be my last final question. Why? Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't found Michelin star restaurant in India, or in Delhi. So why? Maybe have some explanation. Why? I'm interested in learning and what.
Michelin star categorization is not there in Asia.
What? Sorry.
The Michelin guide is not there in Asia, so we will not, since the guide doesn't publish in Asia, it only publishes in France, Europe and Japan.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't have, but we have Condé Nast. This is when we opened this restaurant, this was in the Condé Nast top 50 best restaurants of the world. 2003, this has been the top 50 best restaurants. Not Indian restaurant, but open category, top 50 best. This year also, it's in, every year it has been in the Condé Nast guide. And again, this year it is in the Condé Nast top 10 favorites of India. So it has been in the Condé Nast guide, it has been in James Beard, that whatever that they do. All the local Indian awards or the Asia guides, Singapore guides, we have been in. Okay, shoot. So
thanks. So what is your path? Have you been interested in food since you were a child, or you met someone who introduced you in cooking, or where that this experience comes from? What have led you to this position?
fairly straightforward. You come from a middle class family in India, and food is always very attractive. It is more like you want to eat interesting food. I'm not saying I have not eaten 3 square meals at home, but this is very different from what you get to eat at home. You get to eat like a dal, curry, or the rice. So you're always thinking of eating exciting things. As growing up as a kid, you're kind of imagining. So I was in art school, and it just so happened accidentally I landed into the hotel school, which is what we call in India the IHM, Institute of Hotel Management. So it is not a culinary school, but it does like hospitality studies. So it does front of the house, wine training, housekeeping, and food. And so as you grow up, you can you should sit in that room. There is no noise. If this noise is bothering. It has been a bit of a journey from art school to culinary school, or let's say the hotel school. But as I got into hotel, the food again attracted me, as one of the most basic, I would say, inspiration. So it was never really a portion or the art in the food, but it was just the expression of eating. You're getting to eat. You're in a hotel, you're training, and you're in this cold room, and you suddenly see this huge stack of what we call mithai, like sweets or desserts in India, and you get to buy them if you go to a shop, like how you go to Pierre Hermé at Paris and buy a macaron. Here you go and buy a gulab jamun. Okay, so here suddenly you can walk into, it's like let's say like a treasure chest. You walk in and there's like a stack of that, and you can eat as much as you like. So that was like suddenly a great inspiration. As man, if you could become a chef, you can eat all of that, and nobody stops you. So that became, I think, the primary motive of joining the kitchen.
At what age approximately?
This was about, I think, about 20. When I was 20.
Okay.
Then I went back to, so after you do your exposure training and all of that, you go back to the college again to do the final years. And by then I had pretty much made up my mind that no, I want to kind of, in this, I would not go into the wine service part or the restaurant operation part, but I would go to the kitchen part of it. So I continued working in that, took part in the chef comps and all of that happens, chef's challenges and all. So the final year of college was very good because I topped the chef's program, and I got a chance to represent my state, which is West Bengal, into the national culinary challenge. So I came to Bombay. So that was like a really eye-opener. First time I'm coming to Bombay is like a really large cosmopolitan city, and I came from a really small town, coal miners town in like a back of beyond place. It's called Asansol, which is West Bengal Bihar border. It's almost like very close to Nepal. Where So it's poor, small towns, small education, but still lively, nice people, warm, friendly. But exposure-wise, really small. There's a town of maybe 10,000 families or something like that. So from there to Bombay, like one of the largest metropolises of the world, suddenly kind of explodes in your mind. But I didn't get scared. I was always very excited. Wow, life can get this big. So let's make the best. So I got a job in Accor to start with. Accor is one of the French chains, I think. And they had this hotel at Juhu called the Juhu Guest Line. On the rooftop, they had a beautiful Italian restaurant overlooking the sea and all that called Al Fresco. So I started off there, and that's where the journey started. And then in many places, many things. Traveled a lot extensively through Southeast Asia. So Singapore have really played a very strong influence. I met all the French chefs in Singapore. So I met Philippe Legendre, I met Pierre Garnier, I met Pierre Hermé, Joel Robuchon. So all the French stalwarts, I met them in Singapore because every alternate year they would host this master classes or the culinary gourmet summit. You can't really meet these people when you are in Paris because they're huge. Not in Paris, yes. But there at the show, they are very accessible. So there you can go up to them, you can do their master classes, you can get a book autograph, you can talk to them, exchange your cards, and that's how I really started building my relation. And then I met Tatsuya, who's one of the masters, considered to be the biggest master in this part of the world. I met Neil Perry, I met a lot of the Chinese and the Hong Kong chefs who are very, very big. I met some of the stalwarts from the US, Charlie Trotter. Charlie Trotter, Paco Ranchero from Spain, Ferran Adria. So I met almost everybody. So Singapore became like a hub of meeting the stalwart chefs. Post that I traveled to Australia. So I took up a job and a citizenship, like a residency. Yeah. So between 2003 to 2008, I was going up and down between Australia and India, living in Melbourne and then Sydney.
On your own, not as part of your education?
No, okay. I was working and traveling basically. So I also spent a lot of time with Japanese chefs. So I picked up, because Sydney has a huge Japanese influence because it's proximity to Japan, Fiji and all of that. So there's a lot of Japanese influence there. Just put this on silent. So I also learned a lot of French working with a couple of the French chefs there. Then I got a chance to go to the US for a small culinary program. So I went to New Orleans, Louisiana. So I saw another part of French Creole, the Creole, which is very exciting again. So now suddenly from very high-end, fine-plated food to I'm seeing, the rustic black pot cooking, the Cajun pomfret and the gumbos and the jambalayas and the beignet at Café du Monde. Beignet is of course French, but I don't know if you've seen this place at New Orleans, Louisiana. There's a queue 24/7. Look it up on the internet. There's a queue that is 24/7. Whenever you go, there's a queue. You don't get a place to sit. It is a cafe which is established in 18th century. Louisiana is also the home of the sugar, where they first distilled sugar actually, the sugarcane farming and all of that. And at this pastry school in Kouassi called DGF. Yeah. DGF does chocolates and fine pastry and all of that. Yeah. So I went there. I spent a couple of weeks there. Then I spent a week doing a small stage at a restaurant called Antoine Fish at Alma Marceau in Paris. Then I went for exposure to Pierre Garnier for some time. Then of course traveled a lot through Champagne and all of those and things like that. So it was good exposure. Came back to India again, did a nice French food festival. I brought some bread from Poland, this very famous bakery in Paris. There's an underground oven and all of that. I still have the bag, so with Poland, that's the jute bag. I'm very proud of the jute bag. Embassy in Delhi, the the Spanish embassy in Delhi, the Italian embassy in Delhi. So all the Mediterranean embassies and Greek embassies. So I'm constantly promoting produce from either France or Italy or Spain or Greece. So primarily from Mediterranean. So I'm part of the Olive Oil Association. I'm part of the Chocolate Importers Association. I'm part of the fresh fruits and vegetables that comes. So I'm constantly working with people from the Mediterranean to promote the Mediterranean food, Mediterranean diet, Mediterranean style of eating. So the restaurant that is my restaurant here or at Olive Beach, which is my other restaurant, all the names and websites you'll find in the card, is not really so much about a specific cuisine. Because I love French food, so it has a heavy note of French direction always. So you will find the confits, you'll find the confitures, you'll find the macarons or the beignets or pralines or whatever. But also it has a bit of an Italian influence. So it has pizzas and pastas. It has a bit of Greek influence. So it has the filo pastry, the kataifi, the feta. It would have very little or mild Arabic influences as well, coming from Turkey, Tunisia, Morocco. But most of the influences, heavy influences, would be France, Italy, and Spain. And of course, French is the mother of all cuisine. So when even in my Japanese restaurant, I run a Japanese restaurant as well. The culinary terminology is all French. My Japanese chefs doesn't speak English, but understands French. So if you say braise, he understands. So it's very interesting. So my Japanese chef, if I have to talk to him, either I speak in my broken Japanese or French.
Don't bring any Japanese.
So he understands.
Where is that restaurant located?
This is right now we've started for renovation, but it is at Saket, which is couple of blocks away from here. It's one of the largest mall places of this city called Silk City Walk. So my restaurant, you can look it up on the net. It's called AI. It went on to become India's most award-winning Japanese restaurant. And
fish for this Japanese-oriented restaurant. It looks like there's no fish market, or fish looks like pretty hard to get.
There is see, if you fly between Tokyo and Narita to New Delhi, it is 6.5 hours. So what I did is I set up a supply chain from Tuskegee Fish Market. So it comes in cold, the styrofoam boxes with dry ice. Narita has a cold holding section, so it goes into the Narita's holding, then it gets into the flight. 6:30 in the evening it lands here. So when it lands, can you hear the flight?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the international airport. So just outside the jungle is the international airport. We are right on the ridge. So from the airport it reaches my cold rooms in less than 45 minutes to an hour's time. But you have to build a decent relation and understanding and all that. Sorry.
All the places that in India.
Right now we have Bombay, Bangalore, Pune.
Where is Pune?
Pune is at the golf club. Pune Golf Club. And then now we are looking at Hyderabad. We're looking at Colombo. We're looking at Calcutta. We're looking at Dhaka. See, this restaurant chain is 12 years old. For the longest part of it, I am the first employee, Mr. A.D. Singh, who owns large part of this group. We didn't want to really grow much. We were all about consolidating and giving good food. So for 10 years, we only had 3 restaurants. Now, it's a 12th year, we have 6 restaurants. In the last 2 years, we've opened 2, 3. And now we want to really expand, because we all know that we can only do it for another 5 years or so. Because after that, at some point, you'll retire in life and you'll take it easy. You can't be doing this because restaurant really takes up a lot of energy of yours. Your life kind of gets in there. You lose everything and run the restaurant. In Kerala, for the Japanese restaurant, I started working with fishermen and fishing boats in Lakshadweep and Indian Ocean. These are Japanese-run fishing boats, Indian fishing boats, but leased out to the Japanese, government or Japanese companies. So they catch, slaughter, and pack everything to the Japanese standards. So they would do the ikijimi, so they spike the brain, so the fish dies without the rigor mortis or the stress, all of that. Because in India we know how to catch fish, but we don't know the processing of the fish that well.
Yeah, because there's a cold chain.
Yes, the Japanese knows it the best in the world. So there are I used to work with these fishing trawlers in Indian Ocean. Inland, in India we have a lot of prawns and scampi.